Second of last discussion here, we're going to be moving things over here to the physical side, a little health and wellness, led by some great speakers. The Sugi here, DC local legend, is going to be taking point as our moderator here. Amin Elhassan, the Sugi, shout out the Sugi out here. Amin Elhassan, guys, you might see him as a fixture here, recognize him from ESPN. Phoenix Suns of 10 years, Mujtaba here, SVPP project and strategic planning for the NBPA, and Zizi Yoga. If you could, man, go ahead and get us started, please. Thank you, guys.
Is this on? All right. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So first off, I got some big shoes to fill because I'm going right after Cena. So that's gonna be, y'all gotta give me some grace here. But I'm excited to have this conversation today. Obviously, this is a sports panel. We have Amin, Mujtaba here, and Zezy as well, who have done some incredible things in the sports world where Sudanese traditionally haven't been as involved or haven't found that pathway to sports. So we're here to have that conversation today, talk a little bit about their backgrounds, their careers, and then ultimately give back to you all and better understand how those opportunities can exist for you, because there are opportunities out there if you play yourself or put yourself in the right position. So, we'll kick it off. Amin, we'll start off with you. Maybe just give us a couple minutes and tell us about your background, how you got into sports, and maybe one thing that kind of changed your trajectory.
For me, I don't know about you guys. I was born in Sudan, so like the idea of working in sports to my parents was like, hey, I want to join the circus. Basically, like there's on equal levels. So for me, I was going to school to be an engineer because I'm Sudanese. And I went to Georgia Tech, which is a very good school, and I got there and I realized that everyone else that I was going to school with, they actually wanted to be engineers. They weren't just doing it because I'm good at math and this is the job. They were actually like, I told the story of my freshman roommate. He took apart like the clock radio. And I said, why? He's like, I want to see how it works. I'm like, yeah, I'm not like that guy. I'm not built like him. So, but I didn't know what else to do, so I just kept going to school. And then when I was in school, my roommate, like a couple years later, a different guy, woke me up and he said, hey, the Hawks are hiring. They're having a job fair, and this is like a Saturday morning, and I was like, get out of me, get out of my room, dude. Like, they're not gonna hire us. Right. And he said, no, you don't know that, And the one thing he said was, who knows, you might get to go to some games for free. And that was, for me, it was like, again, no part of this was a career. It was just like, oh, it's a part-time job, and we get to go to games? Why not? So we went, 500 people showed up, they hired 6, me and my roommate were 2. And that's how that started, of me getting to know people. I'm like, oh, there's an actual career here that people work, and it's not just the owner's nephew or this guy who played or this guy who coached for 100 years somewhere, whatever. They were regular people who went to school and got these jobs. So from there I was like, okay, now I know what I want to do, and that's what my parents thought I was joining the circus. But like, I changed my whole life to be just around like, how can I achieve this goal? And so I transferred. I got a business background, and while I was doing that, I got a job with the Knicks. So I worked for the Knicks for a year in basketball ops, and that's what I wanted to do. And then I thought, oh, I'm gonna be here forever. And they were like, well, thanks, next, basically. So I went to grad school, and when I was in grad school, I got a job with the Suns, and that's where like my career really took off as far as working in basketball. And I was really lucky that I got to, not as lucky as this guy, but pretty lucky that I work with Hall of Famers, and I work with like great leaders, and so I got to learn a lot, and from there, I'll be honest, I wanted to be him basically for the rest of my life. And I got the ugly part of the NBA where office politics, when new people come in, they just don't like the old people, and so from there I was like, what am I gonna do? And my buddy was working at ESPN. He says, hey, can I interview you? Mm-hmm. And usually when you work for a team, you can never, it's always a no, because right. Only certain people can talk to the media. But now I'm in between jobs. I said, sure, so I did it, and it did really well. And ESPN was like, hey, do you want to do this? And I'm like, it's like I was telling someone in the back, it's like someone from NASA coming, yo, you want to be an astronaut? I'm like, I guess, I'm not doing anything better. And so and I found out I was good at that, and that's how it's been ever since.
So you touched on a couple things there that I'm interested in, and I'm sure the audience is too, is across, going from the Hawks to the Knicks to the Suns, you came across a couple moments where you're like, hey man, things maybe aren't working out the way I thought they were, right? After I got into the industry.
Yeah.
What led you to, hey, say I'm gonna keep pushing, or I'm just, forget this, I'm going back into the business world?
I'm gonna tell you, like, for me, I was young, or younger, so I didn't have responsibilities other than myself. And when you're in that kind of situation, I lived in what my friend affectionately called a meth den.
Yeah.
Like, when they talk about the opioid crisis in America, whatever, that's Roosevelt Street where I lived in Phoenix, basically. It was nothing but crackheads, basically, everywhere. Right. But for me, I'm like, I don't care. Like, what if they break in? Like, what are they gonna steal? My mattress? Like, I didn't have anything. So to be constantly grinding it wasn't a thing. It wasn't because it's not like I had something better I could be doing. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, you get so deep in it that you couldn't do anything else, even if you wanted to. Trust me, I tried. When I left the Suns, at that point, worked 9-10 years in the NBA. Right. So I'm like, all right, let me try to get a regular job just to keep the lights on. I'm like, I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get a regular job. Because everyone was like, well, you haven't actually worked. They look at like the 10 years I did stuff, I was just like, oh, but I'm saying. It was just, the guy was just been messing around his whole life. Now he wants to be an adult. So there never was, it couldn't go back, right? Like the bridges were already burnt behind me.
Thank you for that. Move over to you. You obviously had, I would say, an unconventional path to where you're at now, but you've accomplished some incredible things along the way. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you're at today and what your role is today, actually.
Yeah, so I was born in Sudan, and I moved here when I was 7 or 8 years old. So the thought of working in basketball was never a thing. I studied accounting and biochemistry, but I played basketball. And a lot of my love for basketball came playing. We were heavily in the Sudani community here. Actually, Jihad, Muhammad Al-Tahir, Ezzeddin. It's great that y'all are standing next to each other because all three of y'all got buckets from me. So I was fortunate to play college basketball at Christopher Newport University, and so when I graduated, I thought I was going to work in management consulting because that's what everyone here does. Two of my former AAU teammates, Damian Lee and Quinn Cook, were playing for the Warriors, and they hit me up and they said, we need someone. They're looking for someone young that can, still play. So my first year, I had this hybrid coaching and front office role, and I used it to decide what I wanted to do. 2 months of guarding Steph Curry in practice quickly made me realize that I did not want to be a coach. I did not want to be on the court anymore. And so I spent 6 years with the Warriors. Alhamdulillah, I was able to win a championship. Was able to celebrate with him in the locker room when we did it, actually. Yeah, exactly. And I was based in the Bay Area, so I got a chance to learn about venture capital and tech investing there. We had a veteran team. You spend more time with the team than you do your families. I used to come back to the DMV maybe 10 days a year because we're playing on holidays. We played during the summer. I'm traveling. I oversaw our player development, so I would travel to check on our players, wherever they were in the world. And so we're talking about tech investing. And so one of those players was Andre Iguadola, and he became like a mentor to me. And so in 2023, he asked me to come on board and be his special advisor. So I helped him run his family office. Myself, him, and a couple of other business partners. We launched a $200 million venture capital fund. And then we also do some private equity investing. So we invested in Leeds United, which is a Premier League team. We own Athletes First, which is the largest NFL agency. We've done some other sports as well. And then lastly, that same year, he took over as the executive director of the NBA Players Association. And I serve as its executive vice president of strategy and team relations there. So alhamdulillah, man, it's crazy what basketball transformed into.
Alhamdulillah. And we see you here today as 2026 Mujtaba. That's, come a long way. But take us maybe back to that very first moment at Chase Center. Was it Oracle? It was Oracle. when you first walked in, what were you there for? Tell us a little bit about that and how you initially got started within the Warriors.
Yeah, it's funny because that first year I was making, 40,000 in the Bay Area, which is nothing. But it was, again, I'm 23 years old. I'm getting a chance to play basketball. The Warriors then are like smack in the middle of the dynasty. My twin brother was living in LA, so I got a chance to be closer to him. But for me, I was just excited because it was again, I knew it was a career path, but I never had an intention of working in that career path. And so, my mom, I think she just found out what I do for work maybe a year ago. My dad's a huge basketball fan, and so he kind of knew, but that first year, it was just really more so living in the moment, and that's something I try to do even till now. It's like, I never let the moment get too big. Like, yes, we're around who we're around and whatnot, but like, I was just trying to help them keep winning.
Absolutely. Zizi, how are you doing?
Flowers. We're giving you your flowers.
Save the best for last. So obviously, your role and your career sits at the intersection of sports, mental health, well-being. Give us a little bit of a background about that, how you got into it, and where you're at today.
So, born and raised in the Middle East, moved to the States in 2008. I studied pharmacy. I was in pharmacy school, crack in the middle of it. And if you guys all remember, there's a gym, or still is, called Lifetime Fitness, Lifetime Athletic. Pretty sure some people know or are members. I would drive 1 hour from Baltimore just to come to this gym and take these yoga sessions that was also offered, meditation sessions were also offered on campus. So I started to fall in love with the art and the just peace and humility that came with these practices. Long story short, got my license in 2014, and then I did nothing with it for 2 years, right? I was just going on with my everyday life, post-grad, and so forth. Fast forward, 2016 comes around, so 10 years ago, actually February 10 years ago. Are you familiar with Ray Lewis in here? Anyone from the NFL? Everybody knows? Okay. So Ray Lewis is like a Hall of Famer, big time, big shot individual that played in the NFL for a very long time with the Ravens. His performance coach was my trainer at the moment, at that time. Now he's my mentor. His name is Myron Flowers. Long story short, I talked to Myron. I said, hey, I have this license. I'm sitting on it. There's nothing I can do with it. I don't want to waste $5,000 down the drain. Help me navigate, which, by the way, mentorship is amazing. So if you're ever starting a business or anything in life, always have key mentors in your life to help you propel. Help me figure out a way where I can understand this dynamic between yoga and the sports world, because that's essentially what I want to do. He said, well, why don't you come to our sessions and I'll bring the players and we'll set it up and just tell them that you're there to teach them to stretch. Fast forward, I go to the session. In the session is Ray Lewis, Stephon Diggs, Torrey Smith. Stephon was like, I think, either end of college or a rookie at that point in the NFL. Torrey Smith, DeQuell Jackson, Vernon and Vontae Davis, and then a few other individuals that all were in the NFL. Mind you, I've never met anyone in the sports world before, so I'm just going and teaching yoga to the big guys. We end an hour later. I'm like, okay, well, you guys just did your first yoga session. Like, oh, for real? Okay. Well, we'd love to have you back because we feel the benefit in this. Fast forward 10 years later, people see the value in it. We are now in the NBA space. I have 12 other yoga teachers with us. We have 12 college contracts throughout the nation where we teach their sports programs yoga as well. We have 7 teams in the NBA that we're contracted with, and then 3 teams in the NFL. Oh, I will say, I actually work directly with Mujtaba as well, with their Players Association and the union. We host yoga retreats with them in Spain. We did something with them in Abu Dhabi. So it was kind of like a full circle moment since it's back in the Middle East as well.
So you're in a space where you're essentially your own entrepreneur, right? Like you don't work for a company and you're getting contracted out. So tell us a little bit about that, how you've been able to navigate being a business owner as well as someone that's directly client-facing as well on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, it takes a lot of trust, grit, and discipline. There are a lot of losses that come with that as well. But if you have a vision, as long as you're really showing up for the work and putting impact and the value is really there, you getting into rooms are okay. You showing what your value is and that the work actually, the proof is in the pudding in the work, will keep you in the rooms. And that's pretty much it. So, yeah.
It's refreshing to hear for sure.
Yeah.
Amin, I want to take it back over to you. So with the work that you're currently doing, obviously we're in a space where Twitter, Instagram, like everything's, quick viral moments, quick takes. How have you been able to navigate that to say, hey, yes, I'm going to give these takes, but provide more depth, more analysis, more insight onto it, because anyone online can provide those takes?
Yeah, it's hard, man. I'm still learning. So, because I came to this business when I came in on the media side, it was still people got their information from television. And social media was something you did to alert people the work you were doing.
Right.
So I used Twitter because back then I used to write. So like, hey, I wrote a new column about we should abolish the draft. By the way, I wrote that 10 years ago. Now everybody started talking about it. 10 years ago I wrote about that. So that's all it was there for, was kind of just like a marketing tool. And now over time, it's become, no, that's the content. And nobody really cares about no one's gonna sit down and watch a whole episode of anything. We're just gonna watch clips. And I'm still trying to adjust to how do you do that well? How do you do that in a way that the clip represents what I'm saying? Obviously it's not everything, but it's a cliff notes, but at the same time, it's gotta be attractive enough for people to wanna engage with it, because it doesn't matter if it's great if 10 people see it. So it's a difficult process that every day we're just trying to figure out what's the formula. And a lot of times, I know, Brandon, we talked about this, like, it's not even about what people like, it's what the algorithm likes. And so how can I be attractive, not to my core, my base, how can I be attractive to a machine? So the machine then takes my stuff and says, you guys need to watch this. And like that's I think everyone who's in content creation, we're all fighting that fight, regardless of what your content is.
Absolutely. Actually, I have just a follow-up on that. So,
You have the coolest job from all of us.
No, well, I'm like, listening to you guys talking, like, man, I wasted my life.
no, so like, which is awesome, right? Because like, you've shown the ability to be agile during the course of your career, and even being agile up until you're within the answer that you just gave, right? Like, you're constantly trying to navigate it. So, taking it from someone's perspective that's not in the sports industry, looking to get into sports, they may want to have one career in sports. Hey, I want to be a journalist, or I want to be an analyst, whatever it is. What advice would you give to someone that's looking to break into sports in terms of being agile and being flexible with not just being, hey, I got an accounting degree and I want to work, X job for X team?
So what I would say is, first of all, to not have any ego about, I'm going to do this. Even if that's what you're going to do, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're going to do on day one, right?
Right.
A lot of the, I did the Cliff Notes real quick version of my career. There's a lot of stuff in there where it's like, no one would want to do this. My job at the Hawks, the first job in basketball, we would go to malls on a Thursday night and set up these displays. Like, this is Dikembe Mutombo's shoe size, and this is, Steve Smith's hand size, and there's a little free throw thing. And if you make 2 out of 3 free throws, you get 2 tickets to a Hawks game. Good seats too, good seats. So we did this mall after mall after mall, like 18 weekends a year. And that was my job. And then every once in a while we got to go to a game. That was a whole year of that, right? And pretty soon I realized that the dope boys would go to the mall, they didn't want to make free throws, they just wanted to pay me for the tickets. So I had a whole side business going. I was hustling hard, man. But I did that for a year. And then I got promoted, and then I worked in arena. And in arena you're doing, again, like, hey, hit a half court shot, win 50,000. Like, we were setting all that up. So I didn't want to do that.
Right.
I wanted to do what I ended up doing. But I did that for 3 years working the Hawks, just that, and getting to know people, whatever. Then when I worked for the Knicks, it was basketball ops, but it was really kind of admin work. It was FedEx this and get this and to the scouts, and but it wasn't actual basketball work, a lot of it. There was some, but I just had a lot of things to do, but I got to know people, and I got to know the cap guy. And that's how I learned about the CBA, and I really kind of added that to my repertoire. By the time I got to the Suns, I was like a killer. I was doing things no one had even thought about asking to be done. So you have to have a humility about this thing is going to be long, it's going to be arduous. Like Mujtaba said, you're going to be broke for most of it. Like if there's any point where you're like, oh man, I need to make money, then this ain't for you.
Right.
You make money, that is like I didn't make any money when I worked I worked 10 years. I was broke the whole time. I started making money when I started doing TV. That's real talk. So, but there was never a point in it where I was like, Ya Allah, I'm a shooter. Like, no, this is what I want to do. This is what I wanted to do. So if you're trying to break in, I think the flexibility to do anything and be inquisitive, to learn. Because a lot of times you don't know, oh, I might need this later. So you're learning things all the time, you got an open mind, that can come back and help you later on. But probably the number one thing is like, you better be real comfortable with the idea that I'm not gonna make money, maybe ever. I might work this for the rest of my life and never actually make real money.
Thank you for
I
that.
don't know what the Suns were doing. We were making money at the Warriors.
Y'all built off Steph Curry though, so they didn't have a Steph Curry. No, so going back to that Warriors point, actually, obviously your boss was Bob Myers, right, with the Warriors, and it's now Andre Iguadola. So you've worked around some incredible leaders who pay. I think you had told me a while back, Andre had told you something, that when you look around at the Warriors facility at Chase Center, he would tell you that this isn't the real NBA, right? Like all the other teams don't look like this. They don't operate like this. So I thought that was pretty neat. But when you hear things like that, there's obviously a lot of things that you pull from Bob Myers, from Andre, as I mentioned. What is something about leadership, about strategy, about life that they've given you that you can feed back to the audience here today?
Yeah, I think people always have leadership backwards, right? I think people always look at leaders of organizations as the smartest, the most knowing and everything, when in reality it's the opposite. It's what I've always seen from like a Bob, from an Andre, and I'll put Steph in that as well, is like these are individuals that are willing to listen to people, and are just good human beings. Like the best career advice I've ever gotten was from Bob Myers. This was maybe my second week on the job, and I asked him, like, what do you look for when you're trying to hire someone? He said, I hire people that do two things. Number one, they make my life easier. So if they work hard and they're really, really good at their job, because I sit at a level where I can't do work day to day. And then number two, this is sports entertainment, really any industry. You're working really long hours, so you have to be a good person. I have to enjoy being around you. So it's as simple as that. If you just do your job to a high level, to the point where you're making someone's life easier, people are gonna wanna hire you. And then just be a good person. I feel like we live in a world nowadays where everyone is trying to play some type of angle or navigate and whatnot. And I was fortunate to learn that from those two guys. And I think have a sense of humility. I think one of my favorite stories ever telling is, this is my first year with the team. We're in Boston, and the hotel that we stay at, there's a Starbucks right outside connected to it. And we're in Damian Lee's room. So Damian and I played high school ball together in Baltimore, so we were really close. And he's married to Steph's sister, so Steph and him were close. So Steph, and I knew Steph at this point, we weren't super close yet though. We're in Damian's room, and Steph is like, yo, I'm about to order something from Starbucks. Like, can you go pick it up? And I look at him, I'm like, bro, your feet work. You can go get it yourself. Steph is the type of person where he's like, okay, cool, like, come with me. So we go downstairs. He steps 1 foot out, and like 20 people. And I looked at him, I said, my bad, dog, I'm normal. So I wasn't expecting this. But he could have humbled me in the most humbling way possible. And that's how he led. Like, when everyone talks about the Warriors culture, it starts with him. The first one in the gym, like the nicest human being to everyone. So if he's going out and dropping 40 and doing that, you gotta fall in line. And that's the best thing I've seen from leadership. Like, everything that you do, people that you are leading are like taking account of.
Right. And Actually, I want to go off of that point because I think people look around and they see the glamour of the league, right? They see the names. Like, even my mom knows who Steph Curry is, right? Like, she don't know NBA players, but she'll look on TV and she's like, oh, that's Steph or that's Bron. So when people see that, like, oh, I want to be in that space, right? To you, when you first got there, you mentioned humility, you know, you mentioned being level grounded, but take us a little bit deeper into that around more so, hey, I'm around Steph, I'm around Dre, I'm around Clay, all these guys. How do you continue to remain, hey, I'm here at the end of the day for work, right? It's these people at the end of the day are also human. How can I maintain that relationship professionally, knowing that these are, you know, you're working with people that have names?
Yeah, I mean, I think in all, like Zizi and Amin know this too. Number one, it's part of the industry culture. Like there isn't leeway. And ours was, we have one of the chillest cultures, so no one would ever do anything wild. But it's just, like, yo, like this is a safe space in this facility.
Right.
Like these guys, they go anywhere. Steph can't go grocery shopping. Andre can't go grocery shopping. So when they're in this building, there's only 40 of us around, like total, including them. Give them that space. And also, like Amin's like an OG to me because he always says this, like he was the first Sudani to work I won the first championship as a Sudani, but like Amin, I would pick his brain.
Sure.
I would like be like, yo, Amin, how do I navigate this? And because you're the only Sudani, so you don't know who else to call. But I think and to your point, you just remind yourself it's a job. Like if you don't do it the way it's supposed to be done, they will bring someone else to it.
Absolutely.
So you don't have any leeway.
Absolutely. What was that? Say that.
In the NBA world, you're pretty replaceable.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know, I'm sure all of us have performed some sort of meditation, right? I'll be honest, I'm sure there's probably a lot of people that have different forms of meditation that it's like you're asking yourself, am I really meditating? Or is it like 30 seconds and then you're already thinking about something else, right? So that comes down to mindset. And what do you think, or would you say, has attributed to has brought you to where you're at today? What was your mindset? That's, you know, something that said, hey, is it I'm so determined to, you know, to focus on my career goal that I'm going to get to X space. Like, what was it about your mindset that allowed you to achieve that?
I mean, honestly, it's a lot of discipline. Just when I'm gung-ho and set on one goal that I want to accomplish, especially being a Black, Sudanese, Muslim woman in this space. This was something that was like, everyone fails in their life in something, right? I'm sure we've had a lot of losses. So I've also had my share of losses. This was something I was just embedded in my mind, A, and then B, faith. Faith is like strong suit for me as far as mindset. And then just having really grounded support system around me at all times. Initially, my parents were not and of course, we're Sudanese. My parents were not the most, they were not the happiest about this decision about stepping away from a pharmaceutical background into the sports world. He's talking circus. This is like, this is not circus. This is like, you might as well be an alien at this point, you know? And especially from, obviously, we have a lot of Sudanese women in here, or everybody, the women in here, majority of us are Sudanese. So we know that this is a space that is just not common. So yeah, just being grounded in faith, really good support system. I have my beautiful cousins and nieces that are in this room that I would always used to say that these are my whys, what are my whys? And then just proving to myself that this is something that I really want to do. Also, sorry, my bad.
No, go ahead.
And then, again, bringing that value into the room will keep you in the room.
Absolutely.
And then creating that trust within the environment. I'm just gonna piggyback off of Amin. I didn't start making real money until 2020. In 2020 is when the NBA shut down. They went into the bubble for 90 days. In that bubble time, which the bubble is called, like, they were like quarantining in Orlando. In those 90 days, they wanted the players after each game to quarantine for a few more days. So they were in their rooms, confined to their rooms and to the resort that they were in, the hotel. That is where I got my big break in the NBA. I was teaching 7 teams yoga every day for 90 days from the comfort of my own home here in DC from Zoom. And that's how I got my big break in the NBA.
So I think that's an important point, right? Because you never had, again, like many sports careers,
Yeah, no.
you didn't have a clear blueprint on what this is supposed to look like. So in that path, how did you, on a day-to-day basis, like you're kind of like, again, being agile, I think that may be the theme here. How did you navigate that, right? Like how did you come up with the idea of, all right, let me do this over Zoom, or, okay, what do I do next? Because you don't have anyone telling you how to go about it, what to do. You're building Zizi yoga on your platform, on your basis, but with the idea in mind, but no real path forward as to how to do it.
Again, mentorship really does help. I've had like Myron, who was a performance coach for the NFL, but now has his own gym, his own training center. He has his own, pretty much stepped into kind of his footsteps, but from a wellness side, that's one. And then 2, yeah, I didn't want to take no for an answer, and I got many no's. Especially in the NBA world, you get a lot of doors shut at you. But yeah, it's just, there was no room for failure. I don't know, I just didn't want to say, I would not accept a no. The beauty about also the space that we're in, you really foster these relationships. It takes time to foster these relationships, it takes trust. And that's something that, you know, I was fortunate enough to build with a lot of the teams, the players, the coaches, an owner, and so forth.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Back over to Amin, and this will be, so, as a member of the Sudanese diaspora, and as Moon mentioned as well, you were the first Sudanese to kind of really break in, have a name.
Shout out to that.
Yeah, shout out, Moon.
This guy
Yeah.
owning teams and stuff.
So, you know, in a way, like you were the first person that we saw on TV on ESPN, and my question is more so, as a Sudanese professional and part of this diaspora right now, do you feel a sense of responsibility to help other Sudanese come up and come through, you know, the industry, and how do you balance that pressure between that and your career?
It's not pressure. Anyone who wants help, like I give all the help I can. I don't feel pressure. I don't even feel obligation. I do it because I feel like it's the right thing to do, not because I'm supposed to do it or whatever. But you know, the big thing I always tell people is there's not one route. You know, all of our stories they all turn on different things. You playing AAU basketball. Who would think something you did in high school would be your career, right? Like, it's just such a far-fetched thing, right? For me, someone woke me up on a Saturday morning. Like, that's what got me here. So, I always help everyone who comes and asks for help, advice, or whatever, with the kind of the disclaimer, like, hey man, that's how I did it. You might do it a different way, because everyone kind of arrives at these places independently.
Absolutely. And, you know, going even up until today, but sometimes you'll walk into a lot of settings and you look around and you're like, you know, whatever business or career you're in, you look around and you're like, these people don't look like me, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how did you navigate that, again, being Sudani, being Muslim? How was that for you?
So, first of all, the navigation, most of it was on the family side. Like, especially in those beginning days, like, of this is what I want to do. And my parents were straight up, right. So, like, how you gonna make a living? And so by the time I was like, I remember, when I got benefits, right? I got medical and dental, and like, that was I did it, I made it moment for me. But in the workplace, it's like everyone said, like, if you're not good, all they care about is, can you help me? Are you good? Right. That's all they care about. They don't care about any of the other stuff. So me being Sudanese, it will only come up with like, like Luol Deng is coming. Oh, like, you know Luol? Yes, I know Luol. Like that was why, right? Those were the things that were when it became applicable. Being Muslim, a little bit more kind of present because there's a lifestyle, right? I'm a Sudani, no one knows I'm a Sudan. Right. I'm not my like as far as they're concerned, I'm just another black guy, right? But being Muslim, there's lifestyle things. So Ramadan, obviously, fasting. So we used to go to lunch as a staff all the time. Steve Kerr was my boss, who was his boss. Apparently he learned how to pay people. Didn't know that one. But what he did do is he would take us out to lunch a lot.
Right.
And so when Ramadan would hit, I would go, but I wouldn't eat anything, obviously. And it blew their mind. Like, yo, how are you able to just sit here and watch us eat, da-da-da? And then, oh, you're not there. I'm like, it's not
even water.
Not even water. So this is a funny thing. So I would go to lunch, and the server would say, what do you have? I was like, I'm fine. And then say, oh, can I get you something to drink? I'm like, I'm fine. And then it would blow their mind that I'm just sitting there. So I'd say, give me a water, or just so they leave me alone and stop asking me, do you need anything? So, like those things, a lot of, and then obviously we have Muslim players around the league. When I worked for the Knicks, Nazi Muhammad played for us, and he was fasting, and he was having like a really down month. And everyone was like, what's wrong with him? Like, he's fasting. Like, they didn't know. They blew their mind. And then, like, the next thing was like, well, Hakeem was amazing when he fasted. Well, yeah, it's like, for most people, you're not going to be the best player in the league when you're doing this. So, way more applicable being Muslim than being Sudanese for me.
I'll kick that question over to you. I want to get your perspective on it. Do you feel a sense of responsibility when it comes to being, again, Amin kind of laid down that foundation, but how do you view that now?
Yeah, and again, Amin was a huge help for me. I think he worded it perfectly, where it's not really an obligation or a responsibility. Number one, it's like we're all interconnected, just based off of we have similar upbringings, and I'm sure everyone in here feels the same way. When you see another Sudani, like me and Iman, we just met for like a second, and like Andre invested in her company, and like now I was like, damn, I'll rock with her. And so it's like you want to like immerse the whole community with as many Sudani people as you can. And I think I also look at it too. It's like I learn as well. Like to me, it's like, oh, okay, cool. You're trying to break into. How are you looking at it? Like I can learn something from you as well. But 100%, it's like it's just the right thing to do.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's the coolest thing. When I met him the first time, I didn't know he was Sudanese. I remember we met at Staples right outside the locker room. I was like, oh, what's up, da-da-da, like, oh, and then it was like maybe 20 minutes into the conversation, it came up like, yo, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, well, my family's from there. And it's like, oh, me too. I'm like, for real? So like, I'm always excited whenever I meet someone Sudanese. It's a weird thing for me. I went to London like, it was a while ago, but I remember going to London and walking in the street, seeing Sudanese people, like, oh, and everyone's like, what's wrong with you? Because in London, there's so many Sudanese people in London, it would be like being in LA and seeing a Mexican person. Like, oh my God, a Mexican person. Yeah, like there's plenty of them. But like here, we're like, we don't see our people, just in general, the shadow side, you don't see them. So then when you see them in places where like the young brother who's Ryan Coogler's guy, Ahmad, yeah. Like, blew my mind. Like, you're Sudanese? So, anytime I see Sudanese people, or when I hear people talking about, so they bring up Zizi a lot. Like, oh, I know this. I was like, yeah, she's Sudanese. Like, she is? Like, it blows their mind.
I mean, I advertise it.
No, but like, a lot of times people just, they don't remember. They don't care. That's the fact. Most of the people don't care, but for us, I always think it's cool, like, what Ibrahim Hamad and Abbas and all those guys are doing. Like, it's cool to me that like we are in positions of influence. I won't call it power, but influence of like something that's a lot bigger than us as individuals, but us as a country.
Absolutely.
Like the idea that Sudan would be so important to the music industry. Right. Sudan would be so important to sports. Like that's crazy, yo. Like.
Shout out. Zizi, I want to kick that question over to you, and then we'll have just a couple minutes for questions from the audience.
I think from my perspective, I think it's a privilege and honor to be a Sudanese woman, Muslim woman in this space, just because I don't think there is anybody else in our space that at least hosts wellness sessions and really cares about creating a safe space for individuals that, again, this was something that was really stigmatized years ago. So just to change that narrative, it's such an honor. There's nothing higher than that I can ever take, and again, a privilege. But like the boys said, the men, said, always stay coachable, always continue to learn. Your skill set, yes, again, will get you in the door. Just make sure you're creating that value and an impact. So that's the main thing.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We have questions from the crowd.
I know my cousin had a question.
I see a hand back there.
First of all,
You mind standing up?
Check. I just want to say, Wallah, it's really energizing to see Sudanese people like pursuing their passions, like nas jadin, it's really cool, Wallah, it's awesome to see. My question is, it'd be interesting to learn, like, what are your like daily like roles and responsibilities? You know what I mean? Like what did you guys do for work like last Wednesday or on Tuesday or something like that?
Yeah, like what's the day-to-day look like? So for me, it starts in the morning, and I'm not proud of this, but I gotta get on Twitter to see what happened. I try to keep up on all the news stories. There's a website called Hoops. I read it every morning just because it's a one-stop shop of like every big article, column, feature, whatever. So then, depending on the day, it might be a little bit of recording, it might be a lot of recording because I work for like 7 different places, so I'm always recording something. And then in afternoon, evening, depending on where I am in the country, start watching basketball. And you watch and you take notes and then start to figure out like, what did I see and how does this apply to, in an interesting way? Because again, there's a lot of stuff that happens that people don't care about. So it's just kind of this cycle of consuming information and then figuring out how to put the information back out.
Yeah, like Amin said, I would say every day is probably different, especially because I work in basketball and tech, and I travel a lot, so the morning will probably start with a flight. But at the Players Association, we represent all 450 players on the commercial side, but also any legal matters or any just fighting the league with anything that they have. So probably looking at, this guy's made my life a little difficult, probably looking at whatever's happened in the league the night before, and then on the investment side, Andre and I will probably go through maybe 5 or 6 companies a day or sports teams, just any ideas that we have on that side. And then in the evening, we'll try to get to a game. Like you have to, the way you're able to help these guys, you have to develop relationships with them. So we'll typically try to get to a game.
I just want to add one thing to that. Want to add one thing. Mujtaba's calendar is so, like, he's the type of guy to be like, yo, what are you doing June 3rd at 6:35 p.m.? Like, his calendar is crazy. So he was real humble with what he just said.
100%. I think it was January, and I was like, Mujtaba, we're gonna do iftar on this day. Put it in your calendar, reserve it. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because of personal reasons. But yes, mashallah, mashallah. My day-to-day is very different. Depends on what city I'm in and which team we're working with. But majority of the times, a lot of players start their day and teams start their day at, they're in the facility by 7:30, 8 a.m. So the first thing is a yoga session, which is 20 minutes. After that, we'll venture out to other sessions. If it's breakouts, they have to do workouts. After I leave the facility, I usually watch film. Film is where they play the day before or whatever have you. Every player is different as far as their role. So it's just, again, a lot of studying. You never stop learning in this field. And then just navigating life with Sudanese family. Sudanese Egyptian parents, and then, you know, the day-to-day with your family. So, yeah.
I think we have time for one more question.
Mahdi?
Yeah, sure. I got a lot of voice acting. So first of all, I'm obviously very aware. First off, very impressive, guys, and genuinely, I feel an immense sense of pride seeing Sudanese people in such different fields and non-traditional fields and being so successful. I think one thing that was apparent to me in the way you guys talked about your day and your careers is how hard you worked. And we obviously focused on a lot of the professional side of things. You mentioned right at the end, Zizi, like the personal part of it. And I'm curious for all of you, kind of how do you strike a balance with your personal lives, given we're whole human beings, and how much of your time in the fields you're in are so consumed by work, especially given you guys are self-starters and you're like, your days are very unstructured, so.
I would say majority of 80% of my time is dedicated to work. That 20% leeway, I mean, I spend time with family and friends. However, I'm 10 years in this field, so they kind of are aware of the ups and downs of my schedule. I have friends here that came to support, some friends that are in this room I haven't seen in months, actually, because of me traveling so much. So it just, I mean, asking for grace with my friends and family. I tried to be here as much as possible in Ramadan. Day to day also comes with what helps me mentally is working out and actually pouring back into myself, because as much of energy I'm receiving from folks, it's that same thing I need to pour back into myself. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Mindfulness.
Yes.
That's a terrific question. It's funny because I think, like, I look back at the Mujtaba that I was maybe 6 years ago versus now, and I've matured so much. And one of the biggest areas that I've matured in is like family time has become so important to me. So we've started this tradition, me and my parents and my siblings, where I make sure that they see a new country every year, because you guys know vacation. No, she's Sudan. No, she Muslim. It's like you gotta. But like what the Sugi said is true. I don't play by my calendar. I'm probably one of the few Sudani people that 7 p.m. means you're there 6:55. So that's how. And he's not like that. That's why he's laughing. But that's what I'll try to do. It's like I work really, really hard, but I also I think that you only get one dunya, so you have to enjoy it. And so I'm really, really big on, okay, cool. If I work, like the Sugi's seen this, I have to go to Europe once or twice a month for work. I'll go to New York for work, be there till Thursday, take a red eye to Europe. From there, I'll go to Seattle to see my sister. From Seattle, I'll go to Texas to see a cousin, then I'll come home. And people always go, oh, you're crazy, you're on the road for like 16 days in a row. But it's like, if I went this hard at work, I have to do the same thing with my family, because our family gets older, relationships start to die out. And so I feel like I'm in this kind of era right now where that's what I'm focused on.
Can I add on to that? Just one more thing that he was saying. We all, I can say collectively, and I'll speak on behalf of us, we are reaping the fruits of our labor, for sure.
I don't. I admire that you guys are able to. I have a very, very hard time doing work-life balance.
You have kids too, right?
I got
You
kids,
don't have
but that's the crazy part. It's like I got kids, so you think I would have more work-life balance, and I really don't. My family knows. They know. Like I tell them all the time, work comes first, because that's how we're able to do all this. It's a very Sudani mentality. It's like God and all that. It's like that's all I'm really thinking about. It's like, and so I do like family trips and stuff like that to kind of reap the benefits, right? So like, I know you got a zillion points and a zillion miles, like all of us here. So that's where I go. So I take my kids to Disneyland, and we go see my brother. I literally flew here. I was in Oakland this week with my brother's house for an 8. So I flew with them there, and then I left. And they know, but everyone knows, like, that's the deal. And I struggle sometimes. I don't even know if it's wrong, to be honest with you. Like, in my mind, I'm like, if I don't, I'm gonna be sitting around like, man, I didn't go to this thing, and now maybe that's someone I was trying to meet there. Like I could have met them there and could have figured it out, and maybe that could have started something. So I'm always kind of in this constant loop of like, I can't pass up anything because this might be the only opportunity that happens. And that's in part because, well, like I said, my whole career was based on someone woke me up on a Saturday and I said yes, as opposed to no. So I'll be honest, I don't know. And especially if you're someone who's trying to break in, I would say avoid that, because you don't have the luxury. Now I guess we have the luxury to do it, even though I don't take advantage of it, but don't. This is why I'm the old man. Like, everyone's always, I'm like, yo, man, this is it. It's hard. You have to do this.
Now, shout out to you all. This has been an incredible panel that we've had. Thank you to the audience for your questions. And again, give it up for our panelists up here. For their vulnerability and their honesty.
One more time for our amazing panelists, man. Appreciate y'all's time, man. Thank you for coming out, guys. Thank you, man. Shout out to the Subi, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for doing